The Espionage Act of 1917 was passed to provide penalties for those convicted of interfering with military operations, insubordination in the military, and promoting the success of the country's adversaries. The Espionage Act is controversial because it can be difficult to determine if the act protects the United States or if it endangers free speech. The case with Julian Assange is particularly controversial because he is a non-American journalist. However, if he is indicted for publishing secret information about the US government and foreign affairs, other American journalists feel they could also be endangered under the act for sharing secret information. The news being involved in the case makes it more complicated because the case has been made a spectacle of the First Amendment. The Obama administration did not press charges against Assange out of fear it would endanger journalists legally in the future. The United States takes espionage cases case by case, as the cases are too complex to all have the same outcome. In New York Times Company versus the United States, the Supreme Court held that the government must have an extremely valid reason to censor the press from publishing information about the government. Daniel Ellsberg was charged with espionage for leaking classified documents to the New York Times outlining US involvement in the Vietnam War. His Pentagon Papers revealed that the government had enlarged the scope of military actions in Vietnam without public and congressional knowledge. His charges were dropped by a US district judge as the Supreme Court felt what was being published was not a threat to national security. On the other hand, in 1917, Charles Schneck was charged under the Espionage Act for mailing printed circulars critical of the military draft. The Supreme Court upheld that because Schneck was not merely protesting the draft, but actively telling people to avoid it, his charge should stand because his speech was not protected. The Espionage Act does not outweigh free speech, nor protect pacifists who circulated anti-draft literature, especially during the nation's sensitive time of war.